Hello, I am Ying Hui from the University Malaya. Welcome to the online learning session on the intriguing relationship between human rights and religion with a particular focus on Southeast Asia. Our goal today is to explore how religion can influence human rights education in this diverse region. Human rights education plays a pivotal role in promoting universal human rights principles. It involves teaching, learning, and applying these values to create a culture of respect for human rights. It is crucial because it contributes to a better understanding and appreciation of these principles. Religion often presents a complex and at times conflicting backdrop to the promotion and promotions of human rights in Southeast Asia. This region is incredibly diverse with various cultures, political systems, and social norms. Each nation has its unique social-cultural fabric which influences how human rights are interpreted. This diversity can lead to a conflicting viewpoints and hinder the creation of a unified regional human rights framework. Southeast Asian countries have ratified various international human rights treaties committing to uphold these standards. However, the translation of these international norms into the domestic law and practice can encounter resistance. Deeply entrenched cultural and religious values, along with the political considerations, can influence how these standards are implemented. Balancing these conflicting perspectives is instead a challenge. The key is ongoing dialogue and collaboration, both within the region and internationally. It is crucial to respect cultural diversity while safeguarding fundamental human rights. This is an ongoing struggle, not just in Southeast Asia alone, but also globally. Moving on, let's dive into a complex relationship between these two significant aspects of the region. Let's begin. Southeast Asia is known for its religious pluralism, with various beliefs like Islam, Buddhism, and Christianity coexisting. However, many countries in the region have a predominant religion. This diversity results in a complex interplay between religion and human rights, as religious traditions often shape our understanding of human rights. There are two primary perspectives. Some advocate for a strictly secular understanding of human rights, often excluding religious contribution, while others believe in recognizing the values of various cultural, religious, and philosophical perspectives in enriching human rights education and discourse. These differing views have generated substantial debate. Certainly, Buddhism emphasizes the interconnectedness of individuals within societies and nations while respecting individual freedoms aligned with the cultural and religious norms. On the other hand, within the Hindu tradition, human rights are often recognized within the context of one caste. The modern concept of universal human rights, as we know it, has the Western European roots influenced by various philosophical, religious, and ethical traditions. The conflicts between the local beliefs, cultural practices, and international human rights standards can create challenges for human rights education. Religious curricula, like Islamic education, can sometimes present religions as unquestionable, causing the tension when it contradicts with the universal human rights principles. Individuals often find themselves torn between accepting both universal human rights declarations and the religious teaching. For instance, the cases of Malaysia, Brunei, and Indonesia. Critics often highlight Western biases, individualism, and ambiguities in the human rights framework. Some argue that human rights values are relative and context-specific and are subject to criticisms from conservative nationalists and religious groups. However, proponents believe that human rights values are rooted in moral motives from various religious and philosophical contexts. Many Southeast Asian countries have ratified international human rights treaties, and these standards have influenced their constitutions and laws. For instance, the Philippine Constitution includes articles on social justice and human rights, while Thailand's constitution prohibits discrimination based on religious beliefs and recognizes 5 major religious groups. Religious education can consume educational resources and potentially limit the time dedicated to human rights education. Restriction on freedom of religion can also affect access to education, particularly on religious minorities. Religious conflicts can lead to school closures, affecting students and educators. The relationship between religion and human rights in Southeast Asia is multifaceted, involving dynamic debates, challenges, and opportunities. The region's diverse cultural and religious landscape shapes how human rights are understood and practiced. While it is a complex landscape, it is also an area where education and dialogue play a pivotal role in fostering great understanding and harmony. Let's now discuss the 3 complex challenges at the intersections of human rights and religion in Southeast Asia. Southeast Asia is known for its religious diversity, but it is also home to nations with dominant religions. This leads to the question about how to balance the rights of the majority with those of religious minorities. This delicate balance can sometimes cause tensions between human rights values and religious traditions. The challenge highlights the need for inclusive education that respects the rights and beliefs of all religious groups. The clash between the local religious norms and the universal human rights values can lead to difficulties in reconciling the two. In Southeast Asia, where religious curricula often present teaching as unquestionable, individuals might find themselves torn between accepting both universal human rights declarations and religious teachings, even when they appear contradictory. This challenge underscores the importance of finding a balance that respects local culture while upholding the universal human rights principles. The integration of religious education within national curricula can have both positive and negative effects. While it allows for the teaching of religious values, it can potentially limit the time and focus available for human rights education. Striking a balance between the cultural heritage and the diverse worldviews in the educational systems is a critical challenge that Southeast Asian countries face in promoting human rights education. To sum it up, the complex relationship between religion and human rights in Southeast Asia present multifaceted challenges. As we continue exploring these challenges, it is important to remember that finding a harmonious balance is essential for respecting cultural diversity while upholding the universal human rights principles. We have come to almost the end of this online lesson on religion, human rights, and education in Southeast Asia. It is vital to note that human rights are not confined only to the Western world. The concept of human rights under the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, UDHR, transcends geographical boundaries. Human rights represent universal principles applicable globally. This allows individuals to uphold their personal beliefs while navigating the human rights context on a political level. In the complex religious landscape of Southeast Asia, achieving a balance between human rights, education, and religion is challenging. While these countries have committed to international human rights agreements, strong religious and cultural influences can hinder the actualization and protections of human rights. To strike a more harmonious balance, it is crucial for these nations to seek common ground and emphasize universal human rights values while respecting the religious diversity. That brings us to the end of our session. Thank you for joining me.